What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Wednesday that's also kind of like a Thursday as well, as the Titans are getting ready for Thursday Night Football tomorrow in Green Bay against the Packers. So a short week for everybody that has led to a lot of quick injury updates, and we'll talk about that a lot more on Thursday morning show. At Thursday, we'll have a lot of live videos getting ready for the Titans at the Packers on Thursday night with our show. Our A to Z Sports Pick show will be live on Thursday. Buck will be live from Green Bay, and then we'll have our pregame, halftime, and postgame show. So let's get this off and going on a Wednesday, and we're discussing something we didn't have a chance to get to yesterday because we were reacting to the Todd Downing comments from Mike Vrabel. But Caleb Farley officially goes on injured reserve yesterday for the Titans. He's expected to be out for the year with yet another back injury. And so another first-round pick not helping the Tennessee Titans this season. How much is Jon Robinson to blame? Is it fair or foul to blame Jon Robinson for what's going on with Caleb Farley's start to his Titans career? So there's a lot to unpack there with number 3 corner Caleb Farley, who already wasn't really doing that much to help the Titans defense. And then we'll talk about this current first-round pick and Treylon Burks, who's back from an injury, had a little bit of an impact on Sunday against the Broncos, but we'll talk about the trajectory of Treylon Burks' first-round pick throughout his rookie season. And it is Wednesday, Zach, so we will throw shade at the end of the show, but welcome in. Let's get this thing off and rolling. What's up?
Yeah, I'm throwing shade at the holidays. It's wild. We're here.
Man.
We're here.
Throwing shade at just the holidays, all of them. All the holidays.
No. Not all of them.
Okay.
One in particular. And whether it's a trend or it's always been there, I don't really know. But it's killing me, Smalls. It's ruining things in a big way.
A big way.
Yeah, in a big way.
You're not at all over exaggerating this.
No, I got a bad taste in my mouth. Uh-oh. And I'm a little ticked off, to be honest. So that's my shade at the end of the day. Make sure that you guys think about your shade at the end of this show. A lot to talk about. Plus, I got a little uni Britches report sneak peek of what we're going to see tomorrow night that I don't think that you know, Austin, but maybe you do. I don't know.
Scooping Jim Wyatt?
In a bizarro way. That's how I will say it. I will also say that we're broadcasting on 3 platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. All 3, we got you covered, and we will tweet out segment by segment our YouTube links, which you should follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports. That's at ATOZ Sports. It's a great follow there. We got great interaction. We've got great questions. We've got great tweets. And we've got a great subscription over there on our YouTube page. Just search A to Z Sports Nashville. You can see us there. Subscribe. That is behind-the-scenes coverage, live shows as you're watching right now. We've got clips. We've got locker room access. We've got post-game. I mean, everything that you need is right there on A to Z Sports Nashville's YouTube page. A lot more people are watching us on YouTube. You should be as well. Facebook, the real OGs from day one. We appreciate you as we churn on to 100,000 strong. Bottom left corner of your screen. Share now to public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing on this show. We want you to share the show around, and that would mean a lot to us. We got to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. More people will be piling in over the next 5 to 10 minutes as we rock and roll on. So let's get this party started on a shade day. Let's get it rolling.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show on our Twitter timeline, segment by segment, at A to Z Sports. Also on Instagram and TikTok, too. But we got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out you guys, like Wilson County Hyundai. If you're looking for a new ride, check them out in Lebanon or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Followed by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans, better coverage, rates, and service. Learn more about a health plan for you, fbhp.com/ATOZ. and Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, the official injury lawyers of the Titans. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call Hughes and Coleman, free case consultation at 800-800-4600. So throwing shade. Zach's already teased his shade on the holidays at the end of this Wednesday show. Not my shade, but still dealing with it. My little cold sickness that I've caught at the worst time possible, as I will have to talk live on video today and then tomorrow 4 times. So hopefully I can make it through that, but bear with me for my voice struggles over the next couple of days, and hopefully I can get better over the weekend without the Titans playing on Sunday. But Zach, Caleb Farley's not going to get better unless he goes under the knife and has another back surgery, because Teron Davenport reporting on ESPN.com earlier in the week that Caleb Farley likely out for the season with a herniated disc and is expected to need surgery to fix that herniated disc. The Titans officially put him on injured reserve yesterday. And so there's a lot to go into this, but here is Mike Vrabel quickly on Caleb Farley when asked about the Titans' first-round pick from a couple of drafts ago on Tuesday's press conference.
Conversation with Caleb, like you've had some tough ones with him dealing with his injuries since he got.
Well, just everybody's disappointed. Came to work every day with great attitude, and hopefully we can get he can get healthy, and then we'll reevaluate where things are, and unfortunate.
And I think Vrabel's right. And before we dive into, using the B word on Caleb Farley or whatever we're going to get into and whatever words are going to be said, this does suck. And I think, on a human level, you've got to feel bad for Caleb Farley, Zach, just because of all the stuff that the guys had to go through that's out of his control when it comes to the ACL in college, the multiple back surgeries in college and pre-draft, then the ACL in his rookie season, as Vrabel pointed out throughout the summer, working hard to reshape his body, get stronger, get back healthy, and then not being able to help you on the field, but then another back injury. It does flat out suck for him as a person, regardless of what this means for anybody in the Titans organization and the blame game that we're about to play here in a little bit.
Yeah, but it's a dog-eat-dog world, right? Like, nobody cares. At the end of the day, things happen, and franchises, pick you to play. And Caleb Farley had an opportunity to play a good chunk of this season, not the entire season, but he didn't prove that he could play even when he was healthy in year 2 after having all that time to learn, to study, to observe. And so I'm not going to play the nice game on
this.
No,
I'm not playing the nice game either. I'm just saying I do think it sucks.
You got to start it out. I mean,
because
it is what it is. People get hurt, right?
Yes.
But this is a league where you get drafted to help a football team, and Caleb Farley has not been able to do that. And Austin, it's not a surprise. I was screaming from the rooftops that this was a bad pick. Now, sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong, right? That always happens when you draft players. And that's always happens when we sit here on draft night and we sit here and analyze what the pick is. But I distinctly remember. And look, I'll give you an example of where I got it wrong. I thought Jeffrey Simmons, all of the off the field issues, was a bad choice. Now, on the field, I think we all knew that he was a premier talent, but I thought at that time that was eye-opening. Since then, you know what Jeffrey Simmons has done? Proven me dead ass wrong.
Yeah.
He's cleaned up his act. He's had zero, issues off the field. He's had zero legal trouble, hasn't gotten back into domestic disputes, like all of those things. He's proved me wrong. But so far, I've been dead ass right on Caleb Farley and I remember you saying that, look, they had a luxury pick. It's a luxury pick. No, this is not a luxury pick when a man has something wrong with his back. And I knew that was going to be a problem. It is a red flag. It's crazy eyes. Red flag. Run for the hills. There are signs. Look, ACLs are different than backs, but when Caleb Farley was drafted, I knew that this is not a good decision. He fell to the Titans because of that procedure, multiple procedures. We knew that he hadn't played much football. And Austin, he's going to continue to not play much football. And even when he had the opportunity to play football, he was terrible at football. And what was the alibi? Well, he hadn't played much football.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't going to play much football because they didn't want him to play football. He had the opportunity. He was ready to go. He was suited up. And then he got burned in Buffalo. He got burned on multiple occasions. And he became a liability, even more of a liability on the field than he was off the field with all the injuries he sustained. So this is a victory lap on a victory Wednesday. And it's unfortunate. No. The victory lap is that they shouldn't have picked him at the place that he picked him. That's the victory lap. It's not the fact that he got injured. Nobody likes seeing people injured. Nobody liked seeing Jake Locker's career. Nobody likes seeing that. But it happens, and you have to see the writing on the wall, especially when your history shows that you're not a good franchise at picking first-round picks.
And again, that's why I said what I said out the gate at the beginning of this sucks for Caleb Farley, the person. So you could, I don't like taking victory laps because somebody got hurt, even if you were proven correct by that. But again, the problem is not, the problem has now continued to be the injuries, but the reality is that he wasn't good enough to help you. I don't think, and Taylor flat out says, there is no victory here, Zach. There's no victory for the Titans, but that's not what Zach's talking about. Zach's talking about his own victory.
Let me be very clear.
Yeah.
The victory in this is calling the fact that this was a bad pick.
For you.
When they made this pick, I knew this was a bad pick. And they couldn't afford to have a bad pick. It doesn't mean that Caleb Farley should not have gotten drafted. I thought that he should have gotten drafted. But when injuries occur, look, Christian Fulton fell in the second round. Harold Landry fell to the second round. Look at what happened to Harold Landry, right? And the Titans got value there. But when you pick a player is very important. And I had an inkling based on the history, based on not playing a lot of football, and based on his back procedure. And we even interviewed a doc talk, a back specialist from our great sponsors at the Bone and Joint Institute, and it still didn't change my mind. Caleb Farley should have been drafted. It should have been nowhere in the first round.
And I do think I'm going to reach out to the Bone and Joint Institute for a doc talk. I know with a short week in the Thursday night game and how we didn't learn about this injury until Monday afternoon. We didn't have time for it this week. But I do think a longevity conversation about all the different back procedures that he's gone through, plus the ACL in college and the ACL in his rookie season, is worth having to figure out what's going to happen here. So let's, Zach, I don't like necessarily taking a victory lap because of a player's career is in significant jeopardy. But again, it was a risk of a pick, and nobody's disagreeing with that. And right now, Caleb Farley has not helped his football team. He's hurt his football team when he has been healthy by getting burnt in Buffalo and burnt earlier in the games when he was playing corner, where they were not playing him at corner at all, really, since like week 3. So let's ask this question and get the chat more involved. And let's talk about this from a Jon Robinson side of things. Is it fair or foul to blame Jon Robinson for Caleb Farley's Titans career thus far? Because it's not over. He's got 3 more years on his rookie contract. And they're definitely not going to pick up the 5th-year option, but they have all of next season to figure that out. But that's a highly doubtful type of situation. But a minimum of 2 years on Caleb Farley's rookie contract left. Is it fair or foul to blame Jon Robinson for Caleb Farley's Titans career thus far? But I will tell you about Hughes and Coleman. And if you get hurt in a car accident, you can call Hughes and Coleman for a free case consultation. Their number, it's one of the easiest numbers I've ever seen created. 800-800-4600. That's Hughes and Coleman. They've recovered over $1 billion for their clients over the last 30 plus years in the state of Tennessee and in Kentucky, and have the same ability to do that for you. If you have been injured in a car wreck, the Titans trust them. They're the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. You should too. A to Z trusts them. You should too. Right there, Hughes and Coleman. Call them for a free case consultation. 800-800-4600. Principal office in Nashville, Tennessee.
Also trust BetMGM. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports. They are the king of sports books. Download the app today in your Apple or Android store, and you get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 for new users. So if you're a new user, use that promo code in the promo code tab, ATOZSPORTS, all one word. You get a risk-free bet for new users up to $1,000.
All right, so Caleb Farley is on injured reserve. We expect for the rest of the season, again, Treylon Davenport reporting a herniated disc in his back that happened covering a punt in Sunday's game against the Broncos. Likely done for the season, likely needing surgery. So the question, Zach, I'll send you to the comment section here in a second. Fair or foul to blame Jon Robinson for Caleb Farley's Titans career thus far? What is the chat saying on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch?
There's a lot of one words, and that one word is fair. Noah says fair. ABNTX says fair. Andre is our first foul, so we'll keep tabs there because we got a string of fairs. Scott, Steven, Eric, Danny, Ramon, Orlando, Bama Brad goes extremely fair. Sheila, Will Dodson, Blast. Brandon's calling him a bust, so he's saying fair. Dom says foul, so we got two. Steven, fair. Caleb, fair, not Farley. Jason, fair. Very fair from Xavier. Very fair right there. Troy says fair. Fair 100%. Top tier says fair. Sheila asked, will he be released? That may be something we need to talk about.
All right, I've got his contract right here in front of me if you want to go over that now. So Caleb Farley, after this season, will have a dead cap number of $7.9 million. So, I mean, the Titans could release him, but first-round picks get their contracts fully guaranteed. His fully guaranteed contract was 13.5, so 7.9 is left over the last 2 years. So I don't know if that's too big or a number that
depends on their cap situation.
Yeah, right? And they've got a lot of big decisions to make after this season on cap numbers, and so we'll have.
But it's not big enough for it's like an absolute no. Like Ryan Tannehill's cap hit was so big that there was no possible way. There's a difference between 54 and 7 million. So I do think it's a fair question.
It's a fair question, but it also, it's something where the Titans can think about it because they also have Fulton, McCreary, and Molden, some other really good young players at that position group where they can afford to let Caleb Farley sit back and try to get healthy again.
Noah giving Sam some lunch money. Farley will never be an NFL corner. The only way I see to salvage his career is to transition to safety, going the Logan Ryan route for the 2024 season, and that's a long shot. I think that's like one of those, something has happened, you're trying to find a solution, maybe that would work. But I do think that maybe his poor play or lack thereof on the field may push, I don't know, maybe it's throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? Maybe like, hey, maybe we transition to safety. You got a big body, you're tall, you're lanky, you're long. Maybe that is it. But I do think that that's a reach. Overall, this is absolutely fair. The chat got this right. We've got to hold the people accountable who we need to hold accountable. And Jon Robinson is the man who we need to hold accountable. It's fair to criticize, guys. We don't live in a world playing patty cake, okay? It's okay to get criticism. Look, you have bad takes, you have good takes. You have bad draft picks, you have good draft picks. The problem is Jon Robinson notoriously has a lot of bad draft picks in the first round. And that's your most value, and as you said, the most expensive draft pick that you make. And so he can't afford and couldn't afford at the time 2 years ago to make this decision. And so it is absolutely fair to blame Jon Robinson for Caleb Farley's Titans career because he had all of it in front of him. He knew that he hadn't played a lot of football. He knew that he had had several back surgeries. He knew all of this. But at the same time, in a position where his team was going for it, he took a flyer on a guy who was a risk. And sometimes risks turn into rewards, and sometimes risks turn into busts. But this risk, everything was painted on the wall that this was going to be a bust, and it was confirmed. So the chat, little golf clap for you. You guys got it right. It's fair to criticize Jon Robinson. he picked the player? This is going to be hard for you to defend, Austin. So I'm going to sit back and see how you're going to answer this.
I feel like if with Jon Robinson taking and making this pick in that time, right? Like it's whenever we're asking this question, and it's hard because we're also human, just like Caleb Farley and Jon Robinson are. We need to put our mental state back in April of 2021. What was the 22nd overall picks worth to the Titans, who just won the division? They lost a home playoff game in a defensive battle to the Ravens, where the offense had its worst output, and the Titans had a lot of pieces back, right? They had their core. They really did not have a lot of starting positions up for grabs. And I think Jon Robinson made this draft pick of Caleb Farley saying, I'm okay with whatever the result is going to be. And I think I kind of agreed with that. Now,
you did. I know.
Yeah, I did. And I'm staying consistent that I agree with, I think it was a gamble. It was, and I called it a massive gamble at the time. And when you do that, if you're going to put a bunch of money on the roulette table or wherever, you got to be okay with losing that money. And I think that's where Jon Robinson was at, because, you know, you can't take into the account of what ended up transpiring with A.J. Brown, how the Julio Jones experiment failed, and everything that happened after the fact. In that moment, Jon Robinson told us with the pick that he was okay if the gamble lost. And it lost harder and faster than we expected.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. And Austin, I will say this. What was the previous first-round pick before Caleb Farley?
Isaiah Wilson. And again, like you can't allow your previous.
You can. That's what you should have done. You couldn't afford to do it. Once you get divorced, you don't go on a date with a stripper. You don't do that. You settle back in. You don't take that type of risk. That's the issue, is that we knew what the Titans were getting into in their first-round situation after, and this is your words, not mine, and this is the truest thing that you've ever said in the history of this show, is that in the history of the NFL, the worst draft pick is who?
Isaiah Wilson's the biggest bust in NFL draft history.
You've just come off of that, and now all of a sudden you're going to draft a guy with a bad back that's had multiple back surgeries and hasn't played much football. Hell, he didn't even play football before. And he'd fallen in the draft. And DeMario, let me shut you up real quick. There's a difference between a torn ACL in 2022 and a herniated disc. Okay,
I agree with you on that.
That is apples and tangerines. That's not even close. So this is the issue. It's okay to criticize, guys. You guys criticize me. You guys criticize Austin all the time. We take it and we keep rolling. It's okay. You make bad draft picks, but you can't make bad draft picks after you just made the worst draft pick in the history of the National Football League.
Look, I don't disagree. And again, this is a lot of, I think, Jon Robinson, everybody in the NFL at those levels, Jon Robinson and Mike Vrabel have egos. We've talked about this before. And this was an ego pick of, look, we can recover from Isaiah Wilson. I'll say this. I think the Dylan Radins pick was dumber than the Caleb Farley pick, even knowing the result of what those two players are doing. Like, it made more sense to me to gamble on Caleb Farley, who is a high-level athlete that had a high ceiling, than it did to draft Dylan Radins the next round, who played at a small school in an offense that didn't translate to the NFL. I think I would, again, if you go back, I would be more okay with drafting Caleb Farley again than drafting Dylan Radins again. The Dylan Radins pick made less sense than the Caleb Farley gamble.
But Austin, you blinked twice and you realize that the two first-round picks that you picked in 2018 for, even before that with Corey Davis and Adoree Jackson were no longer on your team.
And again, I think Jon Robinson.
Your history had been so bad, you couldn't do this.
But
Austin,
again,
you talk about
team,
the state of the football team. That's the most important part.
And
this is where you needed a high-impact guy right away to get you over the edge.
In 2021, they did not think they needed that. They did not. They believed that they were okay.
But everybody else did.
Again, that's where I'm going into. We have to remember the situation of the team when the guy was drafted. Corey Davis was a massive reach of a pick at 5th overall in 2017. But the Titans were a desperate football team drafting in 2017 and felt the need to draft Corey Davis there. In 2018, they were not as desperate. They had a hole at middle linebacker, and so they drafted the best middle linebacker in that draft at 22 overall. I think a 22nd overall pick is probably not a good thing for the Titans, by the way. In 2019, they were coming off of a better season and had the ability to take a flyer on an injured guy in Jeffrey Simmons because of what they were building, right? And then in 2020, Isaiah Wilson was a luxury long-term pick. In 2022, they thought they had their core and they thought they were comfortable in taking a gamble.
But you just learned your history. You just said the history. When you make that many mistakes, you don't get flyers, Austin. You don't get grace. You don't get the benefit of the doubt. Your history proves, and that's in life, you don't get the benefit of the doubt because your history has shown that you have a characteristical flaw of picking first-round picks. Like, it doesn't matter that you hit on Jeffrey Simmons. The percentage is so bad that, and it's like the Packers. Speaking of the Packers, everybody and their mother, every single draft, every single solitary year is like, why the hell do the Packers not draft a wide receiver in the first round? They can't afford to not. And then they don't do it. And then all of a sudden you blink and you're a lot further away from an NFC championship game than you ever have been on Thursday night. So like that, you have to look at what history showed you. And so the question is, and look, I knew that this was going to be a hard thing to defend. I didn't know why you were going to defend it. It is absolutely fair to blame Jon Robinson for this, though. Like, that's it. It is fair to blame the guy who picked the guy who had 2 back procedures, and then you blink, and a little over 2 years later, he's having another back procedure. Yeah, the ACL is unfortunate. But Austin, the where we are today, Caleb Farley had the opportunity to play 9 games this year. Mm-hmm. He wasn't any good.
Yeah.
The team didn't even trust him. They didn't even want him out there.
And that's been the massive catch-22 of the entire Caleb Farley situation that Sam and you and I have all talked about earlier in the year and Sam's asked this question to Mike Vrabel that, how do you let the guy go get more experience without having him burn your team?
It's tough. If it's tough, and what ends up happening, Austin, in this league, because there's more fish in the sea, you just go find other fish. And that's what they did. They literally got off guys off the street instead of playing their first round pick. This is hard because, and this is the old adage, look, quarterbacks are different than any other player, but the old adage is a bad draft pick. At least, look, let's take Jake Locker, Vince Young, and even Alex Smith earlier when he was drafted out of Utah. He was bad for the first 5 years, and then, the rest of his career is different. But they always say drafting a bad quarterback will set you back 5 years. Now, I think that because of trades and other things, I think that is probably cut down to maybe 4 or 3.5. You cannot have back-to-back years where you get not a little, but zero value out of your first-round picks, because that's going to set you back even more.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because where has the Caleb Farley whiff hurt the Titans the most?
Right now.
No. I'm talking about where, right? Because the defense is really freaking good, right? Without Caleb Farley. I'm talking about where did they miss an opportunity because they drafted Caleb Farley. So I'm gonna go deeper into that, and we'll kind of look at some things But first, Zach, tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to go get your next ride. The perfect make and model is right around the corner. A quick trip down I-40 exit 236. The Palisade, full-size SUV, third row seating, all the bells and whistles. They got sport mode. They've got snow mode if it snows. I mean, it's awesome. And you got leather interior. Both Austin and I have test driven that vehicle. You should test drive it today at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. They also have the Ioniq, which is battery powered. All of their non-battery powered vehicles are fuel efficient. So visit wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Family owned and operated. Payne Bone will hook you up. He's a great friend of A to Z Sports in the show. If you're looking for a car or an SUV, pick a Hyundai at Wilson County Hyundai.
Also, download the BetMGM app. We do have a special A to Z Sports Pick Show coming up Thursday, at noon Central Time. So remember that. Thursday at noon Central Time, Alan Bell, Brian Edwards are doing A to Z Sports Picks on Thursday, a special for the Thursday night football game when Tennessee up in Green Bay tomorrow night. So get ready for that. And you can win big by downloading the BetMGM app, signing up using our code ATOZ Sports. That gives you a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. You can even do it on Thursday Night Football tomorrow night. So again, that's code ATOZ Sports for a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football. Visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only, new customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligible requirements. Rewards issued are non-withdrawable free bets or site credit for bets expiring 7 days from issuance. For problem game support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Zach, so I kind of tossed it out there, a rhetorical question because I was going to answer it. Where the Titans whiffing on the Caleb Farley draft pick is hurting them the most, because the Titans take Caleb Farley at 22 overall 2 drafts ago. The Titans felt the need to draft Roger McCreary at 35 overall this year. Thank God they did, because if they didn't, you have Christian Fulton, who has now missed 2 games because of injury. The first game Christian Fulton missed because of injury, Trey Avery and Farley got smoked and gave up like 30 points to the Bills in the third quarter alone. So Roger McCreary at 35 overall, where did that cost you? Where did Caleb Farley cost you there too? Zach, it's wide receiver. It's wide receiver. If the Titans hit on Caleb Farley, you can use 35 overall in a different spot. If the Titans decide to go away from Caleb Farley, what do they do at 22 overall last year? Do they go wide receiver? Do they go? It also could hurt you at the offensive line.
Well, they don't draft Des Fitzpatrick. That's a huge part.
And that's the
you got to think about it's the trickle down effect, you know?
The craziest thing of all of this is how little Des Fitzpatrick has done as a 4th round pick the Titans traded up to go get. I mean, that infuriates me. Also, the irony of the 2 offseason award winners for the Titans, and my air quotes are being sarcastic, were Caleb Farley and Des Fitzpatrick, who have given you 0 at all. So, I'm looking at the 2021 draft class.
Yeah, and look, to preface all this, it's unfair. It's hindsight 2020, right? Like we're not sitting here criticizing Jon Robinson. You're just going in and saying what could have been.
Yeah, it's the trickle down effect, right? When you miss on Isaiah Wilson, you're forced to reach on Dylan Radins. When you miss on Isaiah Wilson and then Dylan Radins, you're playing NPF as a rookie right tackle, a 3rd round pick. And then when Taylor Lewan gets hurt and you don't have the other 2 guys who can do anything at tackle in Wilson and Radins, now you're having to trade for Dennis Daly to play him at left tackle, right? Everything has a domino effect. And Caleb Farley and Isaiah Wilson's misses, because they're both busts. Again, I just because I say Jon Robinson is not...
But you don't make any sense. Then who is to blame? So if you're going to say it's not fair to blame Jon Robinson, you're going to say it's foul, then who is to blame?
It's just a crappy situation. And it's just Caleb Farley, his body is failing him in so many different ways. And again, I did not expect Caleb Farley to be this crappy of a corner when
Yeah,
I
but
watched him in
that's
every
the only
practice.
guy to blame is Jon Robinson. It's the guy who made the pick. And so that's why the chat was correct on this one.
And
yeah, it's an unfortunate situation,
and I
but
agree
you
with
could have
Dom.
avoided it.
I agree with Dom. It's fate. Stuff happens. We've seen the bumper
No,
sticker.
it doesn't happen when you can prevent it. When all the writing is on the wall, like, look, the Isaiah Wilson thing, he was not vetted correctly, but he had all the physical tools. He was a big body. He was a need, all of that stuff. Now, they could have vetted him, right? Do you love football?
And that was, and the ultimate like excuse, and I'm just saying it. I'm not using it. The ultimate excuse on Isaiah Wilson was COVID. They couldn't have a regular, so anybody could lie to
There's
anybody.
no excuse for Caleb Farley. We knew it. I said it. This is a red flag. Red flags are red flags for a reason. It's not waving the white flag. It's not surrendering. It is red flag. Stay away. Sharks in the water. Your ass might get eaten. Don't go in there. Don't draft him. Don't do it. But instead, in a year that they needed to come back and win a playoff game, and they were unable to, we talked about the trickle down effect. You don't take the right player. And look, the wide receiver that could have been there would have been Rashad Bateman, who has been productive for the Ravens. He's now out for the season.
Yeah.
Elijah Moore was after him in the second round.
Has not been productive.
He is not. But again, the Jets don't get the benefit of the doubt.
Why? And the Jets are
What do you mean why? They're the Jets. It's only a matter before they're going to wet the bed. It's only a matter of time. They're not. The franchise does not get the benefit based on all the mistakes that they've made to say, oh, it's okay.
But I also think you look at the Jets, they had drafted Garrett Wilson to play more than Elijah Moore and Corey Davis.
Well,
Zach,
look,
I know
it's like Zach Cunningham. Zach Cunningham, the Texans don't get the benefit of the doubt. And Zach Cunningham, look, he's been injured his elbow. But last year when the Titans got him off waivers, he was excellent. He helped the football team. He was back closer. He wasn't to the degree of Zach Cunningham 2 years prior. So again, you have to look at, sometimes it's an indictment of the franchise. And when you're talking about the Jets, you're talking about the Browns, you're talking about the Texans, the Jags, you don't get the benefit of the doubt because historically they've been a bad franchise. So Elijah Moore, hell, I mean, he'd be a lot better. The Titans would love to have Elijah Moore.
Well, and so Tank asked the question, what do you say the cap hit was for Farley next year? He should be out of here next year for no contribution. So the cap hit for Caleb Farley is $3.7 million. His dead cap is nearly $8 million. So if you cut him, his cap hit costs you twice. If you keep him for another year just to hope to see if he can turn it around, it's cheaper. So I don't, after thinking about that and reading Tank's question to follow up there, I think the Titans will keep Caleb Farley for at least one more year because it makes financial sense to do it. And you don't want to, it sucks, but you would like to see him try it one more time. And after next year, if it doesn't work out, then you can move the hell on.
Austin, my one thing, I don't think that's a terrible take. I think that makes logical sense.
It's financial sense too.
Except, how do they really feel about him as a football player?
Oh,
and
no.
if they don't feel that he can add anything based on them not playing him this year, then I think sometimes you got to cut your losses.
But you can't.
You can.
Because
he's not worth being on the team. You'd rather go.
I would rather have Caleb Farley on the roster for 3.6 than pay him 8 to not be here. Again, that's just
Austin. The Titans told you that they don't think that this year.
I know that, but again, I think next year, and this is to whoever commented earlier in the show about can he move to safety, whatever. The Titans coaching staff, they don't have to do this now because they got to go win more games. But right after the season's over, they have to figure out what can Caleb Farley do well. What is one thing that he can do well so that they can have him on the team to save that extra $4 million and then just have him do that one thing. Right. And Zach, you're going to laugh at me for this, but I won a youth basketball championship when I was a junior in high school, coaching an 8th grade and freshman basketball team that my brother was on. There were a couple. We only lost one game, but we won the damn championship and we beat the team that we lost to earlier. But the point is, we had a kid on the team who couldn't shoot, he couldn't play defense, he couldn't pass the ball, he couldn't dribble. So what I tell him to do, dude, just go get every rebound you could possibly get. On offense, on defense, get the rebound. When you get it, don't dribble it, hold it, and hand it to somebody on your team. And once I got that kid to understand that, he helped us. He got a handful of rebounds every game. He got the ball out of his hands as somebody who was good at it, and he helped us. So, again, I'm halfway joking with this analogy.
No, I know.
My point is,
because we're talking about a first-round draft pick in the NFL.
I know that. And I drafted this kid
You're
like
sitting here trying to dumb down NFL football
again,
for a first-round draft pick.
I'm halfway joking. You understand?
I get it. I'm not taking
But again, it's what can Caleb Farley do well and have him go do it for you to help save you money.
The Titans told us this year that he can't do anything.
No, they did. They
said we would rather. It's Vernon Davis. I would rather play with 10 men on the field than have one guy that is either a liability or not involved.
But
right?
Zach,
They literally.
Who was that coach that said that? Who was the coach that said that?
Mike Singletary.
Yeah, what happened to him?
Well, look, that's coaching.
He got fired, but what happened to him after that? Did he get an extra opportunity? Did he get a flame out?
I think he was defensive linebackers coach for Ray Lewis. I think that was either before or after. Regardless, I mean, that's coaching. So justifying getting fired and justifying a first-round pick. Austin, it's a first-round pick that they don't even trust. They'd rather get an old aging veteran off the streets than play their first-round pick who was healthy.
Again, Zach,
let that register.
No, I understand what you're saying.
That doesn't make a damn bit of sense. That's why I think that there is a possibility that they cut him.
I don't. So Mike Singletary was after his head coaching firing from the Niners for 2 years. He was a special assistant for the Vikings to the head coach and linebackers coach, and the defensive assistant, and the head coach at Trinity Christian Academy in Texas before he coached the Memphis Express and the TSL General. So it's not like that guy ever got back in the NFL. So again, the point on Caleb Farley is it makes financial sense for Caleb Farley to be with the Titans for one more year. Regardless, he is a bust of a first-round draft pick. We understand that. But what can he do well so that he's not completely a waste? That's my point. Is that
team.
You have to create it, but you're wasting money, and the Titans are in a situation where they can't waste that money.
Every NFL team wastes money at times, right?
But you
cut your losses.
Would you rather waste $8 million or waste 3.5?
Depends on how you feel about the player. Can you help the football team?
And that's the point.
And if you can't, but
which is what
Austin,
I said.
I think that they've already told us that they don't believe that he can help the football team.
No, they can't. They did. They told him
he's going to be coming off of a third back surgery, Austin.
And it's a herniated disc, and I've already messaged the Bone and Joint Institute. We're setting something up to learn more about what this looks like compared to his other injuries. And so earmark Tuesday at lunch for you guys to learn more about the long-term effects of this for Caleb Farley for that Bone and Joint Institute doc.
Well, Doc, what do you think? Well, I think this is confirmation that they should have never drafted him.
I mean, that's not, but again, that's the Titans coaching staff has to do best with what Jon Robinson gives them. And that's the point, is that they have to figure out what he can do well. And they're telling us he wasn't inactive. He was active for every game. He wasn't playing corner, but he was playing every special team snap.
Yeah, that's where he got hurt. He got hurt.
Hey, how about this? CJ Board on Sunday against the Denver Broncos was like a sneaky, really damn good player for the Titans.
Austin, it's never a case that the coaching staff and Jon Robinson are good of getting lower tier players to play at a higher level. That's something that they're very good at. They're really bad at getting really talented first round draft picks to even play.
Do you know how many yards of field position CJ Board was single-handedly responsible for against the Broncos? 80. How about that? 80 yards that CJ Board was responsible for in field position. That's a bit in a 17-10 game. That guy had 50 plus yards on returning. He downed a punt inside on the 6-yard line that saved 14, and then he drew a penalty on the punt return that cost 80 yards for Can Caleb Farley help you do some, why not?
Can't do it.
Why? How do you know?
Well, history.
I mean, the history is
he's
that Caleb
shown.
Farley, Mike Vrabel has said that Caleb Farley was doing really good stuff on special teams. And
He
again,
says that.
but
Austin, he's a first round effing pick.
I understand that, but I have like Mike Vrabel's job and the coaching staff's job moving forward with Caleb Farley is I can't think about him as a first round pick. I need to think about how can Caleb Farley help the Titans. That's what they're going to be charged with.
Well,
how can Caleb Farley help the Titans moving forward?
Then let's table this conversation and for probably another 7 months when they make some sort of decision to either
right?
draft over him. Yeah, I guess they would cut him early to replace him.
Yeah.
So even shorter amount of time. So 3-4 months, right?
Yeah.
Let's just Caleb will go get a back procedure again and see how.
Scott says I should be Caleb Farley's. What about Caleb Farley's agent? Hey, I'll take 3% of $8 million in dead cap. How about that?
Right.
That sounds good to me. All right, A to Z Sports here live. Let's talk about this year's first round draft pick. I actually am really curious about this conversation from all of you. We'll talk about Treylon Burks and take a temperature check on Treylon Burks and what he can do for his trajectory moving forward. But first, let me tell you guys about who I just talked about briefly, the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. They've got doctors who specialize in literally anything. And I actually just got this Dr. Davidson, who is a back specialist at the Bone and Joint Institute. Is going to talk to us on Tuesday around lunchtime. I'm going to nail down that exact time about Caleb Farley's future with this new back injury. And guys, if you have a back injury, shoulder, knee, ankle, neck, head, whatever it might be, they've got the specialist right there for you. Dr. Watson helped my foot out earlier this summer with plantar fasciitis. They can do the same thing for you. Check them out, boneandjointtn.org.
BetMGM, download the app today. They're a great sponsor of this show. They could help you win a little extra cash this weekend. It's Wednesday. Got football coming up on the horizon this weekend. Promo code ATOZ Sports. You get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 for new users. Download the app today.
All right, we're going to switch gears from 2021 first-round pick Caleb Farley to 2022 first-round pick Treylon Burks. What is one word to describe the trajectory of Titans wide receiver Treylon Burks? And so I find this fascinating to see what everybody says, Zach, because Treylon Burks, production-wise in the box score, is not doing much. He missed 4 games with the turf toe injury. He comes back and doesn't do much yet again against the Broncos. But I'm curious to see what people think about this one word to describe the trajectory of Burks. So not what he's done through this rookie season, but what he might be able to do moving forward for the Titans. What's the chat saying with these one words?
Positive from Brad, overlooked from Nick, patient from Adam. Let's see. Underutilized from Jason, playing from Steven, typical from Valentino, progress from Eric, stalled from Assad, Donald saying waste, Treylon being underutilized. Okay, so that may be the reason why it's a waste. Baking from Steven, okay? Promising from Don, separation from Eric, underwhelmed from David, underwhelming from G-Man, potential from Orlando. A lot of really good words. Brent's already calling him a bust. Matty Ice says process, stationary. So I don't think you're talking about thank you cards, but Danny's saying stationary.
Maybe he's talking about that bike that Burks was riding during his turf toe injury.
Yeah, upswing. Opportunity from Michael. Look, Kane says, according to Zach, he's going to be a bust. I never said that. That's all on you. Like Caleb Farley is, but I never said that about Burks. Unused from Pastor Raymond. Mid from Sean. Downing from Malachi. Up from Scott. Anemic from Justin. Unproven. Confused. Horrible from Dub. So a lot of good words, a lot of different words. Yeah. I think that, sometimes we do one words and it's like, the last question was fair. This is a lot of different vocabulary that tells me something. Austin, what is your one word on the trajectory of Treylon Burks?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, I don't want to do the hyphen game because I find that cheating. So I'm going to say cautious. I am cautious for Treylon Burks because this is a personal feeling for me, right? I like what I see, but I'm trying to remain patient. And so I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm cautious about what Treylon Burks can do because I also understand the variables that are with his situation. The Titans are not going to throw the ball a lot. The Titans don't have an offensive coordinator who is good at and proven at scheming people open and focusing on people in the passing game. Treylon Burks has not been consistent of a performer when it comes to making plays. And so I remain cautious about Treylon Burks. I really like what I see here from Burks, and Sam put this together from Burks the last 2 weeks in practice. And yesterday they went no helmets in that practice, but the guy's hands are massive. I think he's in shape. I think he's probably the most explosive wide receiver the Titans have on the roster. I just want to see them do more with him. And I think the Titans are also being cautious with Treylon Burks because they tend to put the kid gloves on. The Titans have a lot of times been an overprotective parent with rookies who have had setbacks early in their career. And so I know they don't want to ruin him, but I am cautious about Treylon Burks' trajectory. I really like him. I really do, though.
So my one word is bucket question mark. That is mine. And I always talk about this because I love NBA basketball. Like Paul Pierce, if you needed a bucket, you know exactly his spot on the floor. Kobe,
Elbow.
Exactly his spot on the floor, right?
Short corner fade.
You know, Luka, you know, I mean, it's pretty, there's
The
a lot of
court.
different buckets
on the court.
that Luka is. Even Giannis, you know where his bucket is by driving to it's closer to the basket. They haven't, and they found, this is actually a credit to, they found A.J. Brown's bucket. It was the slant in space separation to go upfield. And he scored a lot of touchdowns doing that, right?
Yeah.
My one word is bucket question mark because the trajectory of Treylon Burks, they have to figure that out.
Yeah.
It's not fair. And look, I think that was unfair of the commenter earlier saying that I already think Treylon Burks is a bust. I don't think he's a bust. He's not impacting this offense the way that I think they hoped, right? Because of multiple reasons of how the offense is set up and turf toe, right? That impeded on his rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
They got to find his bucket. Is it a back shoulder fade? Is it a slant? Is it a drag route? Is it a deep bomb that he can stretch the field and go up and use his physical ability and those hands you talk about, Austin, to go get a 40-plus yard play in one foul swoop? Because Ryan Tannehill can throw a good deep ball. He just doesn't very often, right? And that's because of a lot of things, but bucket question mark, the trajectory of it, if the trajectory is a positive or a negative, I think will be justified on my one word. And if whatever offensive coordinator in the future can find it.
I cannot, I love the NFL season. I love the week to week ebbs and flows of the season, but man, we are set up to have some incredible off-season conversations about this Titans team and what they're going to do. You know, whatever this season ends up being, there's a lot of question marks moving forward. I see more comments. Darius on YouTube says, I'll say this, Treylon needs to be on the field more. Sheila says his size says that he should be able to do it all. And so, Chris Frazier, I don't necessarily like giving you the attention that you crave, but, he says that I keep saying that Treylon Burks is good. I think Treylon Burks is good. Like I do. Like I understand the situation he's in.
It's funny that he said that. My other word that I was going to say, but I liked bucket better because I think that that's more of the trajectory. It was going to be good question mark.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think he could be good, but it's still a question. I don't know that in my heart of hearts through, 9 or so games.
Another word that I, tussled around with in my mind this morning was incomplete, but I don't like answering the one word question with incomplete. That's a cop out, but it is kind of incomplete because he had the offseason asthma situation. He had got that under control. He had the turf toe. When I thought that first half of the Colts game in Indy before the turf toe injury, it was coming together. And then I looked this morning, Zach, and this is this stat that I'm about to say really explains a lot about the Titans passing game. Zach Bingham, do you know who leads the Titans in average receiving yards per game? It's Treylon Burks. Average receiving yards per game. Treylon Burks.
At what clip?
In 5 games, Burks is averaging 30.6 yards a game.
And obviously, he didn't play in the snoozer that was the Texans. He didn't
so that
play.
hurts everybody. Right? But
right, that hurts.
NWI just had 119 yards in a game, and his average yards per game is 28.6.
Right, because 2 games they had 0.
Yeah, well, and then, he had a 60-yard catch against Washington, and still his average yards per game is 28.6. Robert Woods' average yards per game, 29.6. And then, you get down to Austin Hooper's up to 21 at this point, and Kyle Phillips, who hasn't played in a long time too, is at 19, but he had 60 yards in the first damn game. Again, that the stat tells you a lot about everybody, about the whole offense. That Treylon Burks, in the 5 games he's played, is averaging 30.6 yards a game receiving. That's something that I think I'm intrigued to see how it grows. Because honestly, Burks has played in a limited role early in the season. He played like 35% of the snaps. Then he played half a game because he got hurt in Indianapolis. And now he's coming back from it. So I'm really intrigued to see where it goes moving forward, because I like the ability that Burks has shown us in a tiny sample size. Like I said earlier in the year, take the kid gloves off. Let him freaking go. Like, give him the damn ball. Move him around in motions. Get him open on like that underneath slant that he gained 14 yards on. Like, let's see more of that, because I think that's what you got.
Unless he has a couple of games to explode, he's got 8 games left. He only has 153 yards receiving. He's the trajectory, in all honesty, is looking for him to be a 6, maybe 700-yard receiver.
That'd be great. Oh, if Treylon Burks can get.
Well, he should. Look, as he gets healthier and they trust him and they take the training wheels back off, he should get more opportunity. He's the best offensive weapon you have besides Derrick Henry.
8 games left?
Yeah.
I mean, that would have him averaging 57 yards a game to get to that 600.
Well, yeah, spot. Well, and there's probably going to be a game, maybe he has 70. I don't know. Maybe then he has 40. But he's going to have to be above average. He can't be at his average, because his average was 3 times, if he's 30 times 8 games is not good enough.
240.
Now you're under 500 yards receiving in your rookie year. Woof.
Yeah. And man. I mean,
but that's what Assad's saying. Assad's saying about 400 to 500 yards max. I hope that that's not the case.
I think, and again, this is, pre-season, Treylon Burks had somewhat solid odds. He was in the top 5 or 6 to be offensive rookie of the year. That's not going to happen, right? We know that things have changed a lot. And I feel like if he can get beyond that 500 yards on the season mark, I think you have to understand that that's probably a success for the final 8 games. And if he can get beyond that 500-yard mark, what does that mean for the Titans offense? They're 6-3 with absolute doo-doo in the passing game. So if they can get him to there, then what does that mean for the last half of the season? And how does that set them up for that first playoff game?
2 things before we get to shade.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have topics that we may or may not use depending on the news cycle for tomorrow. I do have something that needs to be, is a key unlocked, if you want to use that term again, in the Titans offense tomorrow that we haven't really discussed today that I think the chat will appreciate. And then the second thing, I teased the jerseys. So have you
Yeah.
seen the Britches report? Do you
I've
know what
not.
the Titans are wearing?
It's funny because I have Jim Wyatt muted still from the Sunday night game when his tweets were way too ahead of the TV. So I've not seen.
All right, so don't look at the chat.
I-
Give me a prediction. What do you think they could be?
Let me hide the chat real quick. All right. The chat is hidden. All right. So what do I think the Britches report would be?
Yeah, what do you think the Titans are wearing Thursday night?
I mean, I would expect Thursday night road game prime time. This is a moment where they go icy whites, tops, bottoms, all white. That's the type of game that I think that they would rock that. They've done that on Monday night on the road a couple times, Sunday night and Thursday on the road before. So that would be a typical icy white game.
You're right, but wrong team. The Packers are going all white. They're wearing white at home for only the 5th time in history, in Packers history. They all white, mono white. So the Titans on the road are wearing mono navy blue.
Love it. That's my favorite.
Mono navy blue versus white tops, white pants, yellow helmets for the Packers. This is a unique. I love jerseys. Watch this show. I'm a uniform connoisseur.
Yeah.
I was excited about this matchup coming your way in Lambeau tomorrow night.
So now you're making me think. I just pulled up the weather app, and I might add that to my shade, to be honest, the weather app. But why all white? And I was thinking, like, is it supposed to snow in Green Bay? Because if the Green Bay Packers are wearing all white and it snows in Green Bay, that's an advantage for them if there's a lot of other, white substance on the turf. But what I'm looking at in this, prayers to Buck Rising and everybody else who's going to go up to the frozen tundra, Jake Evans.
Our guy Jake,
our
social media growth manager.
Yeah, Jake's going up there. You want to play it over? Is the high is the high in Green Bay Thursday night over or under Treylon Burks' average receiving yards per game?
It's under. Isn't it like 27?
28 is the high.
Ooh.
The low's 23.
I knew that because I talked to Jake yesterday and he was like, I hope my phone doesn't freeze.
Yeah.
And I was like, how cold is it going to be? He's like 27, 28. So
yeah. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough. Ian says he's going to the tundra as well. So I like that. I like the navy blues on the road in primetime. And that is my favorite look the Titans have. All right, Zach, let's get to throwing shade here on this Wednesday, but tell all the great folks about your friends at Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, Farm Bureau Health Plans have helped me. They can help you. And it's simple. Just go to fbhp.com/A to Z, or you can give them a call and you take a quick health assessment like I did. I got a quote. I realized, wow, this quote is a lot less expensive than my previous health plan, and it's better coverage. And I get a contact allowance because I wear contacts. And I get free teeth cleanings. And I get free teledoc conferences when I'm sick. And it's like, what the hell have I been doing all of these years? Why have I not been at Farm Bureau Health Plans? But now I am. I'm there. And I'm reaping the benefits. You can too. Over 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. That's fbhp.com. You can get started. fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Also, download the BetMGM app. We've got a lot of fun things coming up with BetMGM, especially coming up with Thursday Night Football. A to Z Sports Picks will be live Thursday at noon Central. That's Alan Bell and Brian Edwards live Thursday noon Central, getting ahead of tomorrow night's Thursday night game up in Green Bay. And you need to download the BetMGM app if you haven't already. Use our code ATOZ Sports and you get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000 with the BetMGM app. It is time to throw some shade. All right, Zach, time to throw shade like we do every Wednesday on the show. I do see, is this Denise? Yeah, Denise says shade on Zach for wearing that A to Z Dallas Cowboys.
I've seen a lot of comments in there. Like, look, it's brand ambassador, the owner of the company, where we own the company right there. Yeah, I want everybody to shout the root. Plus, like, I travel to Dallas a lot. It's support. You guys should be supporting. The Cowboys and the Titans aren't rivals. Like, you
no,
don't
but it's the fact everybody hates the Cowboys.
No, tough. It's a part of the company. So Too damn bad.
Yeah.
Hey, you can throw shade. That is fair, but too damn bad.
Kenneth says, do you sell hats? We do. We actually, we do sell hats. Let me see if I've got something still locked up in here. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. How about this, Kenneth? I had that ready for you. There's our hat. And there's a 30% off code just because we like you. So if you want to go to shop.atozsportsnashville.com.
We need to make sure that code works.
It does. It does. I've used it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I've used it for some, gift shopping as it's that time of year.
So look, you got 30% off. That was a good steal right there. So that shade turned into a steal where everybody in the chat gets 30% off of that hat.
Just because I like you guys, and people are throwing shade at us not having a live show on Friday just because I was out of town, Zach was out of town, and stuff happens. But there's 30% off for you guys at shop.atozsportsnashville.com for that. So Zach, you got more shade to read in the comments?
Let's see. Noah is showing shade the lack of respect of Drake May in the Heisman race. Check the numbers, people. Shade coming from Amazon Music's new format from David. Shuffle songs automatically, never plays the one you want. How do you fix that? Cody and somebody else throwing shade on Chris Frazier, which is kind of a continuation. Jeff says shade on Tennessee Vol fans and media who just think it's a foregone conclusion that the Vols make the college football playoff no
Zach,
matter what.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think Tennessee is going to make the playoff?
I think it all depends on the Michigan-Ohio State game. If that goes into triple overtime and it's lost on one play, I think that the pressure to prevent both teams from being out is going to be too much. I think it's a great conversation for college football.
Yeah.
But the chances of that happening, I don't know if that's great. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. So I'm with Jeff on that. But I do think it is very, very likely.
I think Tennessee needs Ohio State to win that game. If Michigan beats Ohio State, then Ohio State one loss might bump Tennessee one loss out. But Michigan one loss is 4 spots behind Tennessee. They proved that when Tennessee was 1 and Michigan was 5 when they were both undefeated. There is a difference.
You have to look at strength of schedule for
and
both
one of Michigan's best wins is UConn. Yeah, so that's that.
Bobby says shade in the lake effect snow might be getting up to 2 feet of snow this weekend. Wow, that's let's see here. Shade on Twitter trying to pull Jimmy Fallon 6 feet under. I didn't see that. All I look for is Elon Musk tweets. Those are very entertaining to me. So here's my shade. My shade is on the holidays, and in particular, the concept of Friendsgiving. I have been to 2 Friendsgivings. Look, I appreciate friends. I like friends. I'm thankful for my friends. But I've already eaten 2 Thanksgiving Day meals. I've had mashed potatoes, I've had mac and cheese. So it is not even Thanksgiving. And to be honest, Austin, this is the first time that I've had multiple Friendsgivings before the actual Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking as forward to the Thanksgiving meal as I usually do. It has ruined me. I don't want any more dressing. I don't want any more stuffing. I've had my turkey fill. So that I'm in a conundrum because used to you look forward to that day and all of the festivities, but I've already had the meal twice in the last 6 days.
So your shade is not on gathering with your friends.
No, I value them.
Your shade is on the repetitive menus.
Yes, because that's all you're going to serve, right? The concept is everybody. And here's the other thing. Nobody brings their hard-hitting dish to Friendsgiving. They usually save it for Thanksgiving, right?
It's the preseason go-to, right?
It's preseason. And so you don't get the highest quality and also the other thing is when you make things a second time, you usually correct. Like I will admit, made mac and cheese for one of the Friendsgivings because that's one of my specialties. A little too dry. It needed a little bit more half and half to get the creaminess up. So that's going to be others are going to reap that benefit on actual Thanksgiving. but I'm not going to be excited for the food because I've already had the meal twice.
Yeah, I think because I've got multiple families, situations, and visits and all that. With being married and in-laws, and my dad's side, my mom's side, and all that. And I do feel like the side of the family that gets together on Black Friday instead of Thanksgiving, the menu is different. It's not a repeat. So that's kind of a known thing that we've been doing for a while. But I'm all about more like dinner parties. I'm cool with that.
Right,
I
but
like,
not the same menu. But you can't have anything else. You can't have like sushi. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Why
on
not?
Friendsgiving?
Why not? You can do whatever the hell you want to do.
I don't set these up. I'm not the ones organizing them.
Then you can't complain.
No, I mean I can't complain.
No. Look, if you wanna be Angela and go out there and set the office party and make sure that somebody's got brownies and somebody's got chips and salsa, if you don't want to have the same meals over and over, then you got to say, hey, how about we switch this up and have a different cuisine on Thanksgiving for this one? Just because we're all going to do the same thing next week.
I'm an innocent bystander in this. Doesn't mean I can't complain. I mean, that's why we have Twitter. We have an opinion, right?
It
doesn't mean that it's going to change. Like I'm next year, I'm probably going to have again. I get the concept. It's not the people. It's the repetition of the menu.
I think next year, when all this Friendsgiving planning begins at Halloween, you need to say, hey, how about we theme it and do a different cuisine on Friendsgiving so we don't, get your stuffing all stuffed, too early. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but then it just turns into a party, right?
So who cares?
I know. I
mean, what are you guys doing at Thanksgiving? Are you making like turkey crafts? I mean, like what? It's just a regular party. You're not doing anything special for Thanksgiving.
It's
just getting together.
Makes it Thanksgiving.
So stop complaining about it.
Yeah. And Liz is like, all my friends watching this, which some of them all watch.
Like, they're like, man, Zach's mac and cheese was dry.
Like I organized this thing, and I will say, and then I sit here and start to rate like which Friendsgiving was better or right, like, and one was clear cut as far as the food. The one I just went to, that food was fire. And look, I had just enough fill. And the best part is it was on Saturday. So we stayed and watched football enough to have leftovers. So this is actually going to be the fourth time that I've eaten Thanksgiving meal. I forgot about that.
When you're at somebody's house long enough to have two meals.
Yeah. Well, it started because we got there at 1:30 because Ole Miss Alabama was at 2:30 and they're Ole Miss people. So we watched the game, we drank, we did whatever. And then people went back to their house, took their dogs out, and then came back.
That sounds awesome. I mean, what's wrong with this?
It was great. Again, it's not the friends. It's the food. I'm going on my fourth time with stuffing. I don't need that much stuffing.
Just pass on the stuffing once.
I don't need 4 times of candied yams. I don't.
So do it 3 out of 4. Do it 2 out of 4. Just pick and choose. This is like a lack of preparation on your side. What I think it is.
I'm done with Thanksgiving.
You came out and you played your starters in the preseason.
I know.
That's what you did, and they got hurt. And now in week 1, and when you get to the real thing, it's going to be lackluster.
I don't want to play no more.
All right, my shade. I've got 2 shades. They're nothing real big. I do think I need to throw shade on the Weather Channel app. That app sucks. Every time you open it, it either crashes or it takes too long to reload, or you have to open it, and then you got to go swipe up and close it to reopen it again. You can't go back and forth. You get pop-ups all the time. And if I just want to know the damn hour by hour, the day by day, I should be able to open the app, close it, go to a different app, and then come back 15 minutes later, open it again, and it work. But it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't.
Did you know, Austin, that is the #1 app that drains the most amount of battery?
That makes sense.
So you need to close it.
No, yeah, I know.
I know, but it is everybody. Close it or your battery, because it will just stay open. And I feel like it just stays open and it does exactly what you just said. It crashes and restarts.
Yeah, and now, I'm charging my phone. I've got the Weather Channel app open because I looked up Green Bay weather, and now I've got an ad that's somebody soaking their feet. If you have toenail fungus, try this at home. So that's what the Weather
You're
Channel
charging
does.
your phone, but since it's on the weather app, it's going down.
Well, no, I don't charge my phone at night when I sleep. So sometimes I need to charge the weather, but in the morning.
That's weird.
Why? You
I
think?
feel like if we took a poll, this is another day because this has gone long, but 90% of people charge their phone when they're asleep.
I don't.
Let's do that. Ask me anything Monday. I'm going to write that down.
Oh, I like it. AccuWeather is what I'm seeing people are getting. Maybe I'm just going to ditch the Weather Channel app altogether and go to AccuWeather.
So weather's one shade. What's your other?
Chattanooga. I mean, it's a cool city.
Welcome to the show.
But Chattanooga, guys, fix the interstates. It's just so Chattanooga interstates are stuck in the 80s. I don't think they've done a damn thing to help the flow of traffic in Chattanooga in my lifetime. And so that's my other shade that I initially was coming in here with before the Weather Channel app kind of stole it. But Chattanooga, driving through that place sucks. And it does every time. It doesn't matter what time it is. It's just going to suck.
And people that live in Chattanooga, though, really enjoy it, right?
Oh, I would think, in a different lifestyle, I think living in Chattanooga would be very enjoyable.
I could never.
I mean,
you could not pay me a salary to do that.
If I had a big ass house up on a hill or mountain like that on the lake, on the river,
shoot me in the face.
I mean, at that point,
again, different strokes for different folks.
No, different. It would be one of my houses.
One of my houses ain't gonna be in Chattanooga. One of my houses is gonna be on the beach or a ski resort, or in San Diego. But it ain't sure as hell ain't gonna be in Chattanooga for me.
Yeah, Stacy says, "Hey Austin, quit dissing my city." I'm not dissing Chattanooga, the city. I'm dissing the way you have to drive through it. It doesn't matter the day, doesn't matter the time. There's gonna be traffic.
And also, here's the other thing, and this is not maybe it's a diss on Chattanooga. You can take it however you want. I don't care. I'm not an outdoorsy guy. I don't like hikes. But people that like hikes and value that Chattanooga's a great place for that.
Exactly. So, that's why it doesn't make sense for you. So we do go hiking. We take the dogs hiking all the time.
Yeah. Me and my fiance, we don't value hiking. That's not a value.
I'm not a camper though. I like to sleep where I have a toilet and a shower and air conditioning and heat.
I'd like a 5-star hotel instead of camping.
But yeah, then I'll leave and I'll go hike for 3 hours and I'll come back to my amenities. But that's, so you could do that in Chattanooga. So, all right. Any other shade trickling in? Monday, I like the what percent of people charge their phone when they sleep. So that'll be a fun conversation on Monday. But guys, we're going to have a stacked up rest of the week because the Titans are heading up to Green Bay today. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because we've got Buck Rising primetime tonight. We've got Titans videos up there now from yesterday. Our show tomorrow morning, A to Z Sports Picks Thursday at noon. Bucks pregame show Thursday early afternoon. Pregame, halftime, postgame. So subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great Wednesday. Appreciate it as always.
Adios. ABNTX. I hated saying that.